Hello, everyone. We are on our way to the second part of the Venice Biennale. And if you haven't seen my first Biennale video, I will leave it linked above and below, so be sure to check that out. You can watch them in any order, but I do go into greater detail about the history of the Biennale in the first video. Also, if you haven't subscribed, just click that subscription button and that notification bell, and you'll be alerted every time I publish a new video. So we just left the central pavilion as well as the majority of the national pavilions. And now we're going to see a continuation of the main exhibit, The Milk of Dreams, which is curated by Cecilia Alemani in the Arsenale. The sculptures that we're about to see by Lorenzo Quinn were actually part of the 2019 Venice Biennale, and the work is titled Building Bridges, and the union of the hands is meant to represent the quote, human ability to overcome barriers and to act together. So the building that houses the main part of the main exhibit is called the Corderie, and it was used to build mooring ropes and cables used on ships, and it was rebuilt in the late 1500s by the same sculptor and architect of the Rialto Bridge, Antonio da Ponte. And the Biennale started using this space in 1980, and it's honestly one of my favorites. It is just super long. It is 317 meters in length. And just as a reminder, you're just going to see a highlight of this exhibit. The overall space, of course, is so massive, putting everything in the video would be nearly impossible. So you're just going to see some of my favorites. I'll also be sure to include the names of every artist on the screen, as well as more information about each of them in the description box below if you want to dive a little bit deeper. Here we have a really beautiful combination of painting and sculpture. The paintings by Portia Zvavahera and the sculpture by Gabriel Chaile. Portia's paintings are inspired by her dreams, so that's why her works have this otherworldly quality to them, because they're depicting this space between the earth and a spiritual plane. And then next to Portia's paintings are Gabriel Chaile's sculptures. And there are 5 sculpture ovens that are meant to portray members of his family. And the series is meant to be a quote, expression of the body's capacity for communalism, giving, and care, especially in the specific context of a family. Installations like this really help you appreciate the size of this venue and how they can accommodate something like this. This is a work titled "In Earthly Paradise" by Delcy Morelos, and it's meant to represent that we are, quote, earthly beings. We become, live, die, and decompose with and as the earth. It's always a pleasure to see Tao Lewis's sculptures. She creates these works from salvaged materials and pieces them together in such a beautiful way. And spoiler, I will be sharing a solo exhibit of hers at 52 Walker in my next video. So if you like these, you will be seeing a lot more of them in the future. Given that the central exhibit is so large, there are sort of mini exhibits within the larger exhibit. So, this next grouping of works we're going to see is centered around the seduction of the cyborg. And this features works from artists who utilize technology as an extension of themselves in some way or another. I was really drawn to these funky sculptures, and after learning their backstory, I found them even more intriguing. These are works by Lavinia Schulz and Walter Holdt, and they were German artists who created these wild costumes and sculptures that were inspired by dance. And these were actually created back in the 1920s. Dance was becoming socially acceptable for women to partake in at that time, and so Lavinia Schulz was a dancer who performed these expressionistic dances by doing things like, quote, creeping, stamping, squatting, crouching, kneeling, and leaping in mostly diagonal spiraling patterns. So it sounds like she was really pioneering modern dance as we think of it today. I've always really loved Elias Sime's work. I've been lucky to see a few of his exhibits now at James Cohen Gallery in New York. And if you're not familiar, Elias is an Ethiopian artist, and he creates these works made from thousands of electrical wires, type keys, microchips, computer hardware components, any kind of discarded piece of old technology. Using technical objects is a specific choice of his because they are symbolic of our interconnected world, quote, alluding to the frictions between tradition and progress, human contact and social networks, nature and the man made, and physical presence and the virtual. Barbara Kruger has had quite the year. I honestly don't know how she did it. Not only is she presenting here at the Biennale, but she's had exhibits at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the Neue National Gallery in Berlin, LACMA in LA, and honestly, the list goes on and on. It is wild. This is a work by Precious Okoyomon, and it's titled To See the Earth Before the End of the World. And in her practice, she creates these sculptural topographies to discuss the relationship between nature and colonization. So here in this room, we can see a lot of kudzu, which if you're not familiar with, it is known as the quote, vine that ate the South. It is very hard to kill. And when I say the South, I mean the South of America, not South America. And the reason that it came to the South was that plantations had degraded the soil by an overproduction of cotton. So they brought this weed from Africa to Mississippi to fortify the erosion of the soil, and it had a very different effect than they were anticipating. This is the Malta Pavilion, and it features works by 3 artists. This is honestly probably my favorite national pavilion. And the work is reimagining Caravaggio's The Beheading of St. John the Baptist as this kinetic sculptural installation. So that really explains the moody lighting of the room, sort of a real life tenebrism. And the lights that we see falling from the sky are molten steel droplets, and they're falling into 7 of these rectangular basins of water. And each of these are meant to represent a subject in the beheading. And this is where we're going to end the day. The 59th Venice Biennale has now come to an end, and hopefully I will see you all back in Venice for the 60th Biennale. Wow, it's always such an incredible experience to be able to be here and to see this and to share it with you all. So please let me know which was your favorite artist or thing that you saw in this video. And before I go, I'm going to find one of my favorite places to get cicchetti in Venice. Cicchetti, if you're not familiar, are these amazing little sandwiches, and this place is right around the corner from the Arsenale, so very convenient location and very good cicchetti.